I am the world's biggest super fan.
You're like a super fan.
Welcome to the Business Superfans podcast. We will discuss how establishing business superfans from customers, employees, and business partners can elevate your success exponentially. Learn why these advocates are a key factor to achieving excellence in the world of commerce. We discuss the invaluable insights of business owners who have successfully implemented the strategies in the book to build their own team of devoted superfans. Gain insightful knowledge from the experts who create applications that help you create passionate superfans. This is the Business Superfans podcast with your host, Freddy D.
Ready!
With a robust background in electronics manufacturing, particularly during the pioneering era of solid-state computers, our guest, Gordon Parkman, has dedicated over 2 decades to transforming various industries, including the vibrant music sector. His journey began with the launch of an electronics division, which he skillfully expanded from a small, dedicated team to a thriving operation of 200 talented individuals spread across multiple locations. This remarkable growth is a testament to his visionary leadership and strategic insight. As a corporate leader, Gordon has played a pivotal role in numerous business acquisitions and turnarounds, demonstrating his ability to navigate complex challenges and drive significant improvements in organizational performance. Recognizing a need for guidance among small business owners, Gordon founded Achieve Results Consulting, ARC, in 2009, where he has been channeling his extensive experience into coaching and mentoring entrepreneurs. Over the past 16 years, ARC has distinguished itself through its unwavering focus on personalized client strategies. Gordon believes that every business is unique, and therefore, he empowers owners to implement tailored, success-driven practices that foster sustainable growth and resilience in an ever-changing market landscape. Through his efforts, many small business owners have been equipped with the tools and knowledge necessary to thrive and achieve their goals. Welcome, Gordon, to the Business Superfans podcast.
I'm wonderful, sir. Thank you very much, Freddie. The weather has cooled up, so we're getting into the real comfortable time of the year in Arizona.
This is the good time, and that you can eat breakfast outside and have dinner outside, and it's comfortable, and everybody envies us at this point in time.
Put the screen on your patio door and let some fresh air into the house.
Totally agree. That's why we live here.
Yeah.
So, Gordon, share with the audience your story of how did you get to becoming a business coach in the first place? So what is your background and how did that contribute to becoming a business coach?
Basically, my background primarily in electronics manufacturing, multitude of different types of industries, but we're really talking about solid state computers long before even desktop computers. I spent the last 22 years of my career in the music industry business, primarily in the manufacturing. My first assignment was to create an electronics manufacturing division from pretty much an empty warehouse and 6 people. I had the opportunity to turn that into 200 people on 2 shifts and 3 additional buildings. I've been involved in business acquisitions, turnarounds, all of these was part of my corporate life. So it's not really the better part of the last 20 some odd years of my life as a senior manager in growing businesses and turning them around. Graduated from corporate America in December of 2008. And I was already thinking before I retired what I want to do. And I said, well, I think I have an opportunity to help other small business owners or help business owners from my experience. So I started my coaching practice and I'm into my 16th year of that. I've worked with individuals in about any type of industry you could probably imagine. And some of the things people did that I didn't even know anybody did those kind of things. But it's really all about the focus of my practice is partnering with my clients and growing their businesses. I don't do project work. I'm looking for long-term relationships. Some of my clients and I have been working together since 2015, 2018. And it's all about growing the business. I guess you really never stop growing the business. As we're working through the growth process, we're also building value into the business, making sure all the processes are in place, all the systems are in place. If somebody's going to go buy a business, they're not going to buy the owner of the business, they're going to buy the business. The expectation is it runs very well without that owner. That's the focus that I have in working with my clients, to get them to the point where managing the business and managing the growth of the business and not working in the business.
So with that of being able to, like you just said, managing the business, not working in the business, how important is it for them to have a good team and them taking care of that team, their employees? And because that team is really the front line to prospective existing customers, complementary businesses, suppliers, distributors, if they have those, how important is that culture in that company?
I think that's absolutely critical because, business has to realize that the individual contacting the customer is the point of connection. And as that goes, the perception of the company goes. You really have to have individuals. Everybody has to play a position in the team, and everybody has to help out and grow. So it's really all about picking the right people to do the right job. And again, providing them opportunity to grow within the business. And I've seen this within a number of my clients I've worked with, when they'll bring individuals on at maybe an entry level, and next thing you know, they're number 2 or number 3 within the business. They're committed to, as well as the owner of the business, committed to the growth of the business. And I think what happens oftentimes, individuals just go hire somebody and number one, they have no idea what they want them to do. They don't know what skills they should provide, bring to the party and so forth. But it's really all about positioning the business and getting the people in the business that will be the contributors, the key players in growing that business. And my clients, I encourage them really to make sure that they're taking care of their employees in a fashion. When obviously, depending on where the business is or whatever, sometimes they can't initially offer benefits or whatever, but as the business grows, provide opportunity for benefits.
Because in my experience, you really want to transform those employees into what I would call super fans of that business, where they're excited about the fact that they work at this company. They tell all their family and friends about the company. And that energy transcends when they're talking to a prospective customer or an existing customer. As earlier, they're the front line. And so if they feel unappreciated, don't get the recognition that they deserve, there isn't any gratitude in the company, that's going to change and sour the culture. And now that business has turnover, and that turnover is costing the business money in a big way, because people don't realize that it is multifaceted. Because just because a person leaves, okay, there's a cost to that. Now you've got to onboard a new person. So you got the cost of onboarding, finding and onboarding a new person. And now you've got the cost of 2 people, because you've got the new person and somebody training that new person. And when they're training that new person, they cannot be productive to do good training. I'm sure you've seen that in some of the companies that you've stepped into and helped transform that whole culture.
I think that's really key. And to me, when I'm working with my clients, and typically in a lot of cases, I'm also, in addition to working with the owner of the business, I'm working with their team members as well. And it's really all about helping them feel like they're as much of the business as anyone else. And I was in the attitude, say, okay, if this was your business, what would you do? How would you act if this was your business? Because in essence, It is your business, because to the outside world, you are XYZ business. And so in essence, if you're not committed and passionate about what you're doing and where you're working, it's a complete reflection on that individual. And more importantly or in the worst case, a reflection on the company.
Yeah. You look at sports teams as an example, and they've got a player that seems to be mediocre. And so they trade him to another team. And then all of a sudden, that mediocre player is a superstar. And it was like, what changed? The player didn't change. It's the environment and the culture. Businesses need to really You can have the right people. As you said, it's important to bring on the right people, but if the culture is toxic, that person isn't going to perform at the level that they can perform.
I think another part you mentioned culture, and I think a key part of the fact is that your employees within a company are what determine the culture of the company. What you want it to be and what it's going to be is probably not going to be the same thing, because the key piece is the culture is an evolution of the people as part of your team, how they are gung-ho and ready to do whatever they have to do and provide you all the assistance in the world, and in turn the respect of you as the leader, and more importantly, you're respecting them as a team member. And as you say, and the other part too is the fact that when you're bringing in new people into the team, having team members interview them as well. I know I'm here to provide you the resources and the guidance everywhere we need to go, but you're not going to want to work with so-and-so, then it's not going to help either party.
Yeah, one of the things I learned about leadership in my years in the corporate world and beyond is a good leader empowers their team, and their job is to make their team successful. If they make their team successful, they don't have to worry about their success or the company's success, because the team will take care of that automatically.
I know the key element of being a good leader is being a good listener. Listen to what's going on. I know that in the businesses that I ran, they were all manufacturing businesses. And one of the things that I made sure every single morning I went around and said good morning to every single that worked for me. And I think what happens is it provided a level of interaction and respect for one another, that if they had something bothering them, they would say, "Hey, you got a couple of minutes?" And
Right.
I'd take that couple of minutes. I remember, I never forget, this was many years ago, but I was going around in the morning, and one of the ladies said, "You didn't come around yesterday morning. How come?" And I said, I had actually the president, my boss, the CEO, had come up. We had an offsite meeting early in the morning, and by the time the day came, he was there, and I just didn't have a chance. But it was like, I said, "Thank you." And she said, "What do you mean, thank you?" I said, "Thank you for reminding me of what I need to do every morning."
Yep.
That's when you develop the respect, and they're feeling part of the group. Not feeling
Right.
The other thing I used to do was I would have monthly company meetings, and I'd tell them how we were doing. And remember I was in Washington State, and I was having dinner with a gentleman I had met up there. He was in another business, and we're having dinner, and he said, "How's your day?" So I had my company meeting, my quarterly company meetings. "What do you tell him?" I said, "I tell him how things are going." He said, "What do you tell him?" I said, "The only way that I can improve on where we are is that the people who are part of my group understand where we are, where we need to focus our attention. If something needs a little bit more focus, they're the ones that are going to do it. It's the quality problem. I'm not going to be the one that get our production back to the amount we need to get out per day. Those are the people that are going to do it."
When I was running the interpreting translation company for a little while, what we did is when I took over the company, we set up Monday morning meetings at 10 a.m. It was 30 minutes. Each department reported what was the previous week, what was their goals and thoughts for the upcoming week. But we knew the mark that we were shooting for. And then when we had the accountant in the meeting as well, it says, "Okay, where are we at to our goal?" And okay, we've hit this much. And so I said, I'd be cheering and say, "All right, man, congratulations. We hit another milestone." And we grew that company close to $1 million in a year's time because of that, because everybody knew what the goal was. And just like you said, everybody was part of that process. They weren't left behind. They knew where we were financially. We didn't play secrets. We shared what the profit margin is, where we're at, all that stuff, because they were, like you just said, you and I couldn't do it by ourselves. We need them to help do it. And more importantly, they were working with independent contractors that were our interpreters. One of the things I talk about in my book, Creating Business Superfans, is the importance of recognizing everybody in the whole ecosystem, because there's speakers that talk about employee experience and customer experience, but nobody talks about subcontractors. Nobody talks about suppliers. Nobody talks about distributors. Nobody talks about complementary businesses. And the reality is all that comes into play. And what we did is we started a newsletter for the interpreters. And we edified an interpreter once a month that went above and beyond stuff. And that started to change. We started sending birthday cards out to the interpreters. And these are independent contractors. But the reality was they were the front line that would go to a particular hospital and do interpreting, or go to a court and do interpreting for an individual. They were representing the company. So it was important to have them as a super fan that says, man, this is a great company. Because then that customer says, all right, we picked the right company, especially if it's a new customer. We ended up getting more business out of that.
Well, I think those are the kind of things that are really critical you talk about. I think really what you're looking to do is, going back to earlier, is the fact that developing a team of super fans and radiates throughout the community. When these people are out in the community, they're out talking to other business people, they're out talking to family people. I mean, they're talking about, hey, this is really what was going on. Hey, this is really cool things are going. These kind of things. What happens is it develops a network which really ultimately strengthens the business, because the community is hearing from people who are part of the business, the people who are making things happen in reality. Hey, this is a really cool place to work. And then going back, what you talked about, turnover is incredibly expensive. And I think what happens oftentimes is inexperienced business leaders have no concept of that and how much it really costs you. And I think you went through the scenario of what's involved in it, and you become incredibly inefficient because you're starting out, all new people. You're taking somebody that you need to do a job. These are some of the things that I'm working with my clients. And in a couple of cases, I not only work with the owner of the business, but I work with their team members in helping them in developing themselves as individuals and how they can be more efficient, more effective for themselves, which in turn becomes more effective and efficient for the business, from a standpoint of providing them guidance that helps, ultimately at the end of the day, helps the overall business, because these people are more efficient, which in turn makes the overall business more efficient. These people are committed and realizing the fact that their boss is spending money on me to help with them. So the level of their appreciation of the fact, hey, this really feels really important because they're providing Gordon as a resource to help me and become a better employee, become a better performer within the business, and those kind of things.
One of the things that I implemented and was taught years ago was where I would have the team member write down how they would describe them being successful in their position. So they wrote it all down. They wrote out what the goals would be, what the measurements would be. They did it all. I provided them with the guidelines and some questions, but they put it together. So now they owned the position because they created the job description of their position. So it's their job and it's their goals. So my job became easy because now my job was to turn around and say, hey, Gordon, this is what you described as being your objectives for this year. And we're doing pretty good on these, but we're coming up short. How can I help you hit goal number 4 on your list? And it's a completely different mindset because they've owned it now.
I think that's, as you described them, kind of the way I work with my clients. When I'm talking to them, I'll say, okay, what does success look like for you in December of 2027? This is one of usually, when I'm talking with someone, this is almost an entry-level question I ask them because I want to get an idea where they see themselves. And I always use, what does success look like to you? Because in essence, that's really what it's all about, is them being successful and
doing their job.
Okay, now, what do you need to do to reach that level? What are the goals that you need to look at? This is where you want to be. If this is what success looks like for you in 2027, what do you look like in December of 2025?
What resources can I provide to help you achieve your goal as my team member.
I think those are the kind of things that I really encourage all the business leaders I work with to be talking with their people, because it's the same thing as the standpoint of, they need to look at it from a standpoint, for me to be successful, this is what I have to do. When I reach this, I'm making this contribution to the company. In turn, the company is providing me these resources to help me do these kind of things. And I think when we talk about the whole team thing, the team in reality goes beyond just direct employees. The team is individuals that you interact with on the outside world. Okay. Who is your business attorney? Who is your business accountant? Who is your CPA? These people, you need to have the connections as a business owner. These are all part of your team.
It's all of the kind of big factors.
You need to be successful. You need to have these. Who's your business banker? Who are we going to go to if you need a lot of credit? These are the kind of things that, in my mind, are incredibly important for business owners to realize, that there's a wealth of resources in the community to help them become more successful and the ability to grow their business, because they're going to have a question. Let's say you have a legal question, whatever. That's not the time to go looking up on Google and finding a business attorney or whatever. It's a situation. When I always talk to my clients, I may give them a couple of different people that have very strong business relationships. I may say, hey, these people get to know you, because when you do have a problem or you have a situation, you don't have to go through, tell me all about it. They already know about you. They know about your business. They're dealing with directly the problem you have or the help you need. So you need to have that resources out there that know them.
They've got to be what I would call a super fan of you, because of the fact how you treat them. So as you mentioned, the CPA, external lawyer and all that stuff, you need to recognize them, give them a birthday card. You need to appreciate them, so that all of a sudden you get in a pinch and life happens. You need to have those people that have your back, because the last thing you want to do is search for a solution online, because you got a deadline of tomorrow to get this thing handled, and you don't have any of the resources because you didn't take the time to build those resources and maintain those relationships with those resources. It's one thing to also have a resource, but if you don't have an ongoing relationship with them, you call the red phone, it may not get picked up because, oh, that guy, I haven't heard from him in a year.
He must want something.
Yeah.
As opposed to, oh my God, we had coffee last week. To me, when we talk about the developing the relationships, internally and externally, it's really all about the continuing dialogue with these kind of, always make them, as you said, your employees have to be super fans within your business, because they're going to interact with people outside the business.
And you got to have super fans of all the external components. If you got suppliers that are providing you, you're a manufacturer or whatever, you got products that come in, or you're in construction, you've still got to get material. If you don't have a good relationship with that supplier who's a super fan of yours that says, oh yeah, my buddy Gordon calling me here, he needs this shipment of these things. Yeah, let's prioritize that and get that to him because he's a good guy, he takes care of us. Versus somebody else that comes along and reaches out to them once a year when they need it, and then they start yelling because they can't get the product delivered in time. It's going to get slow-boated.
One of the things we talk about, I think in my mind, if we talk about the super fans and that type of a mode of discussion, it's really all about business owners being proactive and not reactive. And being proactive, they're establishing the kind of things that they need to have in place, that are the resources that they need for the business. It's also the standpoint of when I'm talking with my clients, we talk about, okay, what's your goals? What's your action items to complete those goals? And oh, by the way, what are the potential obstacles that we could run into? Because we want to be in a situation that should one of those come up, we already know what we're going to do. Okay, this comes up, man. We already talked about this is what we're going to do. And that's how you become and continue to be incredibly efficient and effective, because you're not wasting time in a reactionary mode. You are functioning in proactive. And I think that really the whole environment of the business community is really to have that kind of resources available to you, have that mentality. Think ahead. You have to always be thinking ahead.
Yeah.
Not worry about 11 o'clock this morning, but let's worry about what do we need to get in place by the end of this year. So when we hit January 1, 2025, we're going to be blasting off and dealing with that. And we've cleaned up all the stuff we need to have in place. So whatever it is, we're not spending time while we're really effectively pushing and growing the business, cleaning up a bunch of stuff that we should have already dealt with a long time ago.
Absolutely correct. And the other thing too is that if you don't have those things in place, you don't have standard operating procedures in place and things like that, the business can't scale. It's going to plateau. It's going to hit a certain level. And if you're working in your business, you're going to reach a plateau. You're going to have some success, but you're going to hit that ceiling and you're going to keep hitting your head against that ceiling. You're not going to pass beyond that ceiling because you can only do so much working in the business versus getting the team and releasing yourself to where you're saying, okay, that person's going to take over this responsibility and empower that person with decision-making capabilities so they can make the decisions. If they make a wrong decision, don't chastise them. It's a learning experience because they'll feel bad enough about it. You don't need to make it worse because then they're going to be, now if you chastise, that person now becomes apprehensive of making any decisions. And so you just went backward.
And even in my corporate life and even when I'm working with my clients, I always talk about is, let's not worry about who caused the problem. What are we doing moving forward? It's things happen. Let's worry about what do we have to do to move forward. That to me is the most important thing. It's people make mistakes. Again, those are learning opportunities. That's how I look at it.
It's a learning opportunity. And most people, if you empower them, will acknowledge the mistake, come to you and say, hey, I made a bad call here. I'm sorry. This is how I'm going to fix it. And then they'll ask you, is this okay if I handle that? Typically, I've always said, hey, your call. You're in charge. Don't come to me. You're in charge. If you can't handle it, then we have to have a different conversation. Usually, they've come up with a better solution than you and I would have thought up because they're into it. They're in the game.
Yeah, and I think that's really the key part of it about too is the fact that it's really all about developing a solid attitude within the company so that people understand that, hey, I'm looking to do the best I possibly can and things are going to happen. So let's move on behind it. What do we learn from it? That's one of the things I always talk about in the first meeting of every month is I always tell 3 questions I ask my clients. What went well? What could have gone better? And what if anything, you're going to change moving forward? Because for things to get better, it's also nothing more complicated than some kind of positive behavioral change to make things move forward. You have to look at it from that standpoint. Capitalize on the great things. But if we had done this instead of that, this might have gone, okay, in the future, this is what we'll do. Everything's a learning experience. Every day in business, you're learning something. You're going to encounter things today that you did not anticipate, some good, some bad. So what do you need to do to digest all that? What do we need to do moving forward? What are we going to do differently?
The other thing, too, that I think needs to be incorporated is edifying team members that have done some great things in front of the rest of the team, because to me, that's empowerment of that individual. Now that also creates fuel for the rest of the team, because now as the leader or the owner of the company, and I turn around to take a moment to recognize Michelle in front of everybody. Michelle kicked it this last month. She helped us grow. We had the situation with this company. She handled it. She solved the problem. The company's happy, and they've actually ended up doing more business with us. Now Michelle becomes a super fan of me as a leader, and more importantly, the team become super fans because they go, man, I want to be that person. So they step up their game. Those are some management skills that I think a lot of businesses, especially small businesses that are working in the business, not on the business, should be doing that stuff so that they can transform themselves from working in the business to working on the business.
I think you're really doing the kind of things you just talked about. It's really going to have these other people as well, when they're part of the team, may go up to the leader and say, hey, okay, is there anything I can do? Maybe I can do something different, or maybe I can help out someone, or I'm really interested in moving ahead and strengthening myself. What can I do to possibly help you and the business? To me, again, we're back to that whole attitude is everything. And that's a key element. If you have employees with the right attitude, they are the super fans. I think it's really all about giving them the opportunity to contribute and grow. Those are the people you want. You want the people who are going to step up.
Yep.
One of my clients, there was a situation where things did not go well at a particular job. I was talking with the owner of the company, and I said, okay, he said, how was it handled? I said, the person that went out, the team leader, stepped up. They went, they talked to the person, they got it all squared away. They talked to the team, let them know, scolded or anything else. Or it was a fact. I said, what do we do? It was amazing because that particular individual wrote an incredible review for the company based on the actions of that employee to deal with the problem, fix it, and get it squared away.
So you just created a super fan right there.
And this a super fan who is a client who just wrote a review to let the whole world know, this is a company you got to work with. Things happen, people deal with it, and they fix it and move on.
And that's the secret. And right there, you can't buy that kind of PR. That's a monster testimonial that now they can turn around and says, hey, this is who we are as a company. Life happens, but we step up to the plate and we get it taken care of.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Or telling other people about what's been going on in the business. And those are the greatest things you can do, because those people, in essence, have taken the role on, hey, this is my business. I'm the one, I'm telling people how great XYZ company is. Or the company I work for, this is how they treat us. This is what we're doing, by the way. And I think what happens is you want people to be in a situation where you're seen as a location for people that want to go to work for, be attracting the right people from the beginning, because they say, hey, I want to be part of this team.
Attraction, one of the terms I utilize is attraction marketing, is one of the things that I really specialize in myself. And that's part of it, is you create that attraction for that company. So now you've got people that want to work for there. You've got, the word gets out, customers are saying, we got to take a look at these guys. We're hearing through the buzz that this is a great company. We need to really look at that. And you start attracting more business. And that's how I talk about the fact that having a team of superfans collectively is what helps propel a business, and it doesn't cost them money.
All the kind of things that we've just talked about in no manner, shape, or form between anybody.
Yeah. It doesn't cost any money. And that business is going to skyrocket because the employees are going to take care of it. Their customers are going to take care of them. Their external partners, as we talked about, CPAs on stuff, going to refer them. Their suppliers or distributors, if they have that, they're going to be talking about that business. So you've got a whole team of people promoting that business. And so that's how that word of mouth starts to take off. And once it goes, it's a machine.
Oh, yeah, that's it. Because then I said your company is positioned in the marketplace as the company to do business with.
Bingo, that's it right there.
One of you,
Company to do business with.
if you're not the major player in your marketplace, then you're not, being good is unacceptable. You need to be great. You need to be the major player in your market. And for you to do that, you have to have the right team. You have to have the right resources available to you. And again, the word on the street is that you are a solid company because of this and this. And oftentimes it's the fact of, and part of that is how you treat your employees.
It all starts there. It really all starts there. And that's what people don't understand, is it starts with the internal team. You have to have a growth mindset. And that's the first thing. You got to transform your mindset to being a growth mindset. because then that's when everything starts to come into play.
That, to me, that's where I decided to focus my attention with my clients is on really growing the business. And people always say, what's a good client for you? Anybody who's committed and passionate about growing their business. I don't care what they do. It doesn't really matter. Business to business.
Fundamentals are fundamentals.
Yeah. Financial controls, marketing, sales, operation, administration. Doesn't matter what you do or what service you perform, what product you build, whether you're an attorney or a doctor, a dentist, a manufacturing company, whatever it is, it doesn't really matter. Business is a business. The most important things are the same. And you need to know them. Business owners really have to have clear understanding what the business needs. It's not all about them. It's what the business needs. What do you need to do for your business? And again, we spent a good deal of our time in talking about people. In my mind, and I've always felt this very strongly, that people are our business's most important asset, and you have to invest in that asset just like you invest in any other asset. I always take a look at the standpoint of things get tough. Things are really getting tough, so you got to cut costs. I always encourage people, let's not start looking at people. Let's look at other ways to cost, because we're going back to the conversation we had. To replace these people, it's going to be very expensive when things swing.
Yep.
To maintain a level that we keep these people so that when things swing around, we're not
Team is still there.
starting over theory.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You forget where you are because you got to get people trained, understanding what you do, how things work within the business.
Yeah. So as we come to the end here, Gordon, it's been a great conversation. Do you have an offer that you want to present any of our listeners?
Sure. Yeah, but I would like to provide anyone a discovery meeting, which is really a consultation about their business. I provide that to be real confidentially and confidential. And again, it's really all about helping me understand your story and your business. That's on the table for anybody who'd be interested in taking advantage of that.
How can people find you, Gordon?
I have a good, solid presence on LinkedIn. That would be a great place if people want to understand me. I have a website, achieveresultsconsulting.com. My email is gparkman@achieveresultsconsulting.com. Those are the best ways to get in touch with me. I do have a phone, but typically what happens, my phone rings and name doesn't show up. I don't answer the phone.
All right, Gordon, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. Great conversation, and we look forward to having you on the show down the road.
Thank you very much.
We hope you took away some useful knowledge from today's episode of the Business Superfans podcast. The path to success relies on taking action. So go over to businesssuperfans.com and get your hands on the book if you haven't already. Join the Accelerator community and take that first step in generating a team of passionate supporters for your business. Join us on the next episode as we continue guiding you on your journey to achieve flourishing success in business.